Hi, my name is Rory Fitzpatrick. I'm the athletic director here at St. Ignatius High School, and today we're joined by several of our head coaches here. We have Chuck Kyle, our head football coach. We have Ganor, our head rugby coach. We have Cam Joyce, our head basketball coach. We have Mike McLaughlin, our head soccer coach. Connor Walters, our head rowing coach. And we have Brad Ganor, our head baseball coach and assistant athletic director. And today we're going to try to answer some of those questions that all of you have about St. Ignatius High School and about the St. Ignatius High School athletic program. So here we go. So our first question that we are going to jump into today that we seem to get fairly frequently is the idea of the multi-sport athlete. And are we friendly to the multi-sport athlete? Do we encourage multi-sport athletes?
Well, first of all, there's several layers to this issue. And it's important that parents hear about this and the young athletes. Well, first of all, the medical profession strongly encourages multiple sports. If a young person simply does one sport for the entire year, it's very clear that certain muscles are used and certain muscles are not used. As a result, the medical profession have really researched this very well and saying there's a lot of injuries occurring for single sport athletes. Certain muscles burn out, are injured, and so on. Another aspect of this is just a couple examples. I can say 2 years ago in the NFL draft, out of that, it was only 2 of them did not play multiple sports in high school. And certainly a young kid really does not realize 4 years from now, I should say, where he'll be and what sport would help him maybe go to the next level. So the idea of doing multiple sports is healthier for you. It certainly opens way more opportunities and it's more fun. Come on, it's high school. Have a good time.
Yeah, Coach Kyle made some great points. Multiple sport athletes definitely don't run the risk of injury as much. We encourage kids to play as many sports as they can, especially freshman year and sophomore year, when they're trying to figure out, hey, what sport am I really good at potentially? I think the younger, when they start the younger ages, they should try to play a sport every season, whether it's football or soccer, basketball or swimming in the winter, and then obviously baseball, rugby, or track in the spring. I think it's important that kids try to play as many sports as they can, especially early on when they're freshmen and sophomores, and maybe down the road when they're upperclassmen, maybe they start to focus in on 1 or 2 sports. But play as many sports as you can. It's obviously fun for the kids. I wish I played soccer in high school. I wish I didn't just only play basketball. So I probably wouldn't make Coach Mike's team, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are making great points. I think one of the things I look at all the time is as much as I would love to encourage our kids to play multiple sports, I think we're living in a day and age where that's not happening as much. I mean, certainly guys are thinking they're going to be professional basketball player, baseball player, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's certainly a mentality of wanting to focus on one thing to reach the highest goal possible. But what I love about our multi-sport guys is when they get to the baseball team is from a competition standpoint, those guys are always at a little bit of a different level than other players. And not that single sport athletes can't rise to the occasion when it comes to competing, but I think guys that are used to the high pressure situations, and of course, as we're playing at the highest level and winning championships, across the board in all of our sports consistently, that those guys that play multiple sports, if they're a fall spring guy or they're a winter spring guy or they're a fall winter guy, it doesn't matter. They're used to that competition level and they're used to excelling in the biggest moments in their sport. And that's the benefit. One of the best benefits I see to multi-sport athletes here at Ignatius is those guys are capable of rising to the occasion.
I couldn't agree more with what's been said by everyone else. I think Coach Kyle touched on the most important aspect in my view last when he talked about it's high school and it should be fun. And I think of the experiences that the guys have, having gone to Ignatius myself and played football, ran track and played basketball. The different types of experiences is really important for our student athletes. And I always want to encourage our kids to take advantage of all those different arenas in which they can compete, whether it's the tightness of being within the hard court of a basketball game, or in front of 10,000 people at a football game. The variety is really important. The kids should be having a great time. And who knows, maybe that's even CYO basketball, right? But we want our kids doing as many different things as they possibly can to form them as a well-rounded person. I think another area where can't be undervalued is the burnout factor. When you have a kid moving on from one sport to another one, it keeps them fresh, and you want the kids coming to you with that hunger for your particular season. And then when we're doing it year round, it's just it's not possible to keep that going.
That's great. It's a good segue too. You touched on a couple of things there, Coach Arbesnik, about, this is high school. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. This question I have: what makes St. Ignatius athletics so special to you guys?
For me, I think what makes the athletic experience here really special for students comes down to two things. And the first is brotherhood. Our programs here are large. So when you join a team, you're joining a lot of guys. And so you're bound to connect with at least a few of them. But by and large, the teams here are very tight knit. They work hard, they support each other, not just within the team, but from team to team. I think we see that a lot, that our student athletes are going to each other's competitions and checking in with each other during the week and lifting with each other in the weight room. And so there's a brotherhood for student athletes and brotherhood on each of the teams. The other thing I think that makes Ignatius Athletics special is the variety and caliber of opportunities that our guys have. So in rowing, one of the things that's unique about us, we get to compete for national championships. And so if you qualify, we're going to take you. Lots of our teams travel, and that's something that not every high school student athlete gets. And so just there's a variety of opportunities within the athletic program, and the experiences you're going to have in those is pretty much second to none.
Yeah, I think there are so many special elements to being involved in athletics at St. Ignatius. I think that there's a tradition to our school that's incredible. It's second to none. It's an academic tradition, a faith tradition, and a sports tradition. And I think that athletes in particular, they are competitive by nature, and they like to be part of the best and want to be the best, and are always fighting and growing and doing things to become the best. And when you come here, you get to be part of the best, and in everything, and in school and on the athletic fields. And so there's a uniqueness of being part of a team that's really special, and the brotherhood, as was mentioned. And there's also a uniqueness of being part of the larger school, and just continuing to feel like you're adding to these traditions that are just long and storied. And I grew up hearing stories about the soccer players and football players and basketball players of this school, and it's made me who I wanted to be. And I think there's so many young kids that are inspired by what's happened in the past. And so, and I just think if you talk to the alums, the people that have gone through the programs, there are memories created in our programs that shape who they are for the rest of their life. And so I think that's probably the most special part of it.
Well, Mike hits on a very beautiful thing. The idea of the tradition that goes back a long, long time. Actually, Dan's dad and I are teammates many, many years ago. I'm not going to say how long, but many, many years ago. And the nice thing about that, when you say tradition, is everybody on that team is still great friends. And you get together, and it's like we just were together, playing a week ago. It's just that fun and enjoyment that is a gift. It's a beautiful gift that is important. And also, I think when you say the value of St. Ignatius sports, I'm proud to say about faith. I strongly believe the dear Lord gives out some talents, and come on, son, do something with your talents. Don't just sit there. Get involved. And the athletic tradition is strong, but also the idea that, yeah, I'd like to live up with that tradition because God gave me these talents, and that faith can make me maybe a little bit better than really my talent awards me to be. And I think it's extremely important. We strongly believe that we have to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually for what we do. And if the sport can give a kid a good example of that, he'll use that formula as he goes on in life. So this is a special, traditional, faith-based approach to athletics, and it's very rewarding.
I'll add one final thing into that. I remember a couple of years ago with a parent, a mom who was picking up after camps, and we had SEP going on and summer school going on, and our teachers and faculty and coaches were all running around, and it was about as crazy a day as you could get. But I remember being on the street and kind of apologizing and telling her, oh, I'm so sorry, it's crazy. And she looked at me and she said, how can you not want your son to be a part of this? And I thought that was one of my great moments where the light bulb goes off. You know, we have so many people, like these people that are sitting on this call, that care so deeply about the young men that go here. And I think that's readily apparent in everything we do. And I think that's one of the most special things about coming to Ignatius and playing for St. Ignatius. So another question we get all the time, what is your response to somebody when, you know, the naysayers will tell them, oh, you don't want to go to Ignatius, you'll never play there, you won't have a chance to play there, you know, it's too difficult, too many good athletes, that kind of thing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would start us off by saying it's false to think that you can't play sports here. We have about 1,000 student athletes. I would wager that half of our sports make cuts. The other half of our 16 varsity sports, everybody is going to be making a team. Now, it's a different conversation in terms of which level you can put yourself on for those teams. There's going to be that competition within the student athletes for who are going to be the top-sided guys. But to say that you can't be on any athletic teams here at Ignatius is simply not true.
Yeah, you know, 1,000 athletes out of 1,500 kids are playing sports here. I mean, that's, you know, it's happening. And like Dan said, it is tough. And nobody is surprised, or shouldn't be surprised when they get here that it's so competitive. You should know that coming in, that it's ultra competitive, but that's one of the reasons you want to come here, is because of the competition and because of the chances to play at your highest level, to be exposed at the highest level, and to have a chance to take your talents to a different level. And that's the goal of all of our programs, you know. But at the end of the day, and I coach a sport where we cut kids, and it's a reality. But I tell kids all the time, I had a conversation earlier today with a family, and I said, listen, baseball is great, and I want you to love the baseball program, but come here because you love Ignatius. Come here because you love the school and everything that we have to offer. And baseball can be a part of that. But if it's not a part of it, it's okay. And it's okay to be here and love the school and get involved. There's 1,000 things you can do here if you don't end up being a baseball player at the end of your career. But don't come here just for that opportunity that might happen as a freshman. Come here because of all the opportunities that are available to you throughout your 4 years. And baseball hopefully will be a part of it. And if it's not, that's okay. And you're going to do great things. You know, and as long as you come with that mindset, you're going to have a successful career. And God willing, it'll be after a long major league career, and you give back to the program. We'd love to see that happen.
Yeah, I agree with Brad. Don't just come here for sports. Come here for the school, first and foremost. And then obviously, hey, iron sharpens iron a little bit, right? You know, you want to come here and compete, and all of our sports are going to prepare you for the next level. If you want to play at the next level, they're going to put you in a different exposure bracket than I think a lot of other schools. When we talk about a lot of college programs coming to our campus to look at our athletes. And I think you get a chance to win at the highest level. A lot of our programs have a lot of success, make deep runs in the playoffs. And I think you can't compare to that. For all the sports, soccer winning national championships, football has the most state championships in the state of Ohio. rugby winning national championships, baseball defending state championships. Crew, I can go on and on about the excellence of all the sports here. So if you should want to be a part of great traditions, great programs, and like we always say, going in that it's going to be competitive, and life is competitive. You're not always going to get told yes. So you're going to get told no a lot, and this can prepare you for that when you are an adult, when you don't get that job that you want. When you got cut back in high school, maybe that can help you get over that hump, get over that obstacle. So if anybody, don't just assume that you can't play a sport here. You don't know what you can play until you find out.
I'd just like to throw in, varsity athletics is not intramurals. There's a commitment to be made. Everybody could wish to be the star, whatever, football player, basketball, baseball, whatever. There's a commitment, and that hard work there's plenty of sports at this school that really, if you put the work in, you'll be on the team. Plenty of sports that are like that. And God gave you certain talents, and maybe it reaches a certain point, a certain age where that's about where you're at with that sport, but be open to growth. That's one of our major messages to young people. Be open to growth, that there is other sports that, and I'm with two of them that, hey, if you work hard and you're at practice, you're going to be on the team, and then let's go from there. But there's a commitment, and that word is important because I don't think you're born with that idea. You learn it as you go through your life. You learn that if you make a commitment to something, you make a commitment to your family, you make a commitment to your job, you make a commitment to your faith. You got to learn it somewhere. And that's what high school does. High school helps you realize who you really are, not just some myth or some sort of fantasy. But number two, to get to where you want to be, there's a commitment you have to make. So it's a challenge. Look, in track and field, no kid ever set his own personal record when the race was easy. I've never witnessed that. And I've coached track for a long time. You end up having your best time ever when the guy next to you is pushing you all the way through the race. You should turn around and thank that kid who pushed you, because that's what competition does. That's what commitment does.
I did want to say one more thing on this topic, because I look at all the guys, particularly who are on this call, and there's guys like Connor and I, who we don't make any cuts in rugby. So everybody, they figure out kind of which boat they're in, figuratively and actually. But then our other guys, like with Mike and Cam and Brad and Coach Kyle, I'm amazed at the different creative ways that they figure out to get kids involved, right? If a kid is not the guy, we have so many different managers and trainers and other elements which kids have transitioned to with the St. Ignatius broadcasting program, where if a kid is really passionate about this sport, we've been very good as a school of figuring out a way to make sure kids are involved. And I think that's another thing that some of the kids will find out when they're at our school.
It's a great point, Coach Arbesnik. I remember Mike Watts, who was the color man for the Cincinnati Bengals preseason games this year. He told me, Mr. Fitz, he said, I realized after about 2 practices of freshman football that I was not going to be playing quarterback at St. Ignatius High School. And he said, I decided to join the SIBN program, and I've never looked back, and that's where his career is right now. So that's a blessing we have too. Can you talk about the perception? Because we get this, a lot of times when we have open house or when we're talking to families, the perception that you have to be in a specific club or have connections in order to make a team or play at St. Ignatius High School.
Here at St. Ignatius, we're just really eager. Like I said, there really are no, this club has a leg up over in this sport. It really doesn't exist like that. And so it's wonderful when young men show up as freshmen. It's neat to see kids coming from different clubs, and all of a sudden they're best friends within 2 months. And so it's part of the club world is it's a very competitive world. And so we're looking for wonderful young men, hardworking young men, good athletes that are, as Coach Kyle said, looking to make a commitment to be part of something special. And so I could say 100%, it's a false statement that there any type of favoritism or any type of clubs that have a leg over any other club.
I mean, hey, if you can play, obviously I coach basketball. If you can play basketball, you're gonna play here. No sugarcoating about it. If you're not good enough, yeah, you may not make the team, but there is no, hey, I know this person, so he's going to be on the team over this person because I've known them longer, or I know their parents, or I knew what AAU team or what school they came from. We don't do that here. We're going to play the best players. Well, first, the best players are going to make the team that we, as my coaches, feel fit the team as a roster, as we put together rosters on each level, and the best players are going to play. There is no favorites here. We're trying to win basketball games. We're trying to teach life skills. We don't have time to play favorites. People want to win here. People expect to win here. And you're not going to win by playing favorites or playing people that you know. You're going to win by playing players who deserve to play because they're committed to their craft. They've worked on their game. They've worked on their skill. They've earned that time. And we as coaches, that's what we're looking for. So I don't care if I never met you a day in my life. If I see you at St. Ignatius and you're a student and I see you on the basketball court and you're making threes and you're running and you're playing defense and you got a chance to play here. That's as simple as it is.
So injuries happen, disappointment happens. How is athletics structured at St. Ignatius to deal with these moments? They can be tough. There are moments whether you get injured and you have to move on and you lose a season, whether you don't make a team, you might not be playing enough. But we know and we try to communicate to everybody that athletics is something that you do. It's not who you are. We try to remind our parents all the time. But how are we equipped as a school to help our young men through times? Athletics is something that people are very passionate about, but if things don't go perfectly, how are we equipped to help them through that?
It sort of goes back to what Coach Kyle was saying, like we are preparing these guys for the rest of their lives. And we're going to, our student athletes will have disappointments throughout the rest of their lives and setbacks and challenges. And so we as coaches, like we're coaching them through this now so they can prepare them for it later. And a lot of the coaches are teachers or have teaching backgrounds. And so like we can identify these learning moments. For example, our team had a boat that for 2 straight years thought it could win a national championship and it didn't. And so how do we work with these guys to deal with that frustration and channel that into more work and to resilience? And so I think the perspective that we have here as a school, that athletics is a piece of their formation, helps us to have those one-on-one conversations. But also just the strong community here, like the guys have each other's backs. This is a very supportive, competitive, but supportive school to be a part of. And I see that in all the teams that I get to be around. So the community here is set up for that, in addition to things like the sports chaplain program that has really taken off here, to just help guys understand where God is at work in their times of difficulty. So there's a lot of structure in place to help guys out with that.
If you look at the coaches that are on this panel, we are all full-time employed people at St. Ignatius High School. We're all here every day, all day, every day. And it is our job to be teachers first and coaches second. And so to have your son come into an environment where there are so many committed coaches that are here for your son every second of every day is an incredible thing. And so because we're here, there's a culture to all of our programs that helps your son to deal with life and with the ups and downs of life. And the truth is, when you are part of a team, more often than not, you're not going to get what you want individually. And to learn at this young age the value of being part of a team and working towards a goal of a team is critical. On the soccer team right now, we have 25 players, and guess how many get to play? 11. And so there's 14 kids sitting on the bench, and helping them to understand their role and helping them to understand their value. And I think one of the biggest things that our students realize is just they feel valued in in every program that they're a part of. And so I think that helps them to deal with their frustrations. As Connor said, our chaplaincy program is one of the most unique things. I really think that when kids come back and talk about their experiences, they often talk about their little 10, 15-minute weekly meetings with Mr. Valinsky and how they were able to have life and sports kind of shaped through the eyes of our faith. And that to have a 15, 16, 17-year-old young man to begin to look at life through the Catholic faith, to look at sports through the Catholic faith, to look at school is so invaluable. And it sets the stage for them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, Mike. And, for me, and I'm sure it goes across the board for everybody, it's all about relationships. And the relationships that I try and create with my players. And it doesn't happen automatically. It takes a lot of work. But I think our players in our program see that having a relationship with the coach that isn't coach player, that it is more of an emotional relationship. There's a true love in the end for the players once we can all kind of figure each other out. And it takes time. But I think what ends up happening is they see how important that is for me. And then in the end, they start to develop the same love for each other that's deeper than winning and losing and deeper than successes and failures on the field. It is way beyond the competition. It's all the other stuff that goes into building the culture of the program and dealing with highs and lows. We're going to win a lot of games and we're going to have a lot of successes. And you know what? We're going to lose too. And we're going to have seasons where you don't win a championship. And we're going to have probably more seasons where you don't win than you do win. That's reality. All right. But at the end of the day, when these guys have these relationships, I mean, come on, there's nothing better than that. There is literally nothing better than to see that happen, and winning's great. But that stuff for me, that's what's most important.
Well, just branching off of what Brad was saying, our program has won a lot of football games and all that. But what do you remember and what do you learn mostly from? It's the disappointments. I'll be honest with you. You start forgetting some of the games you win. But you remember the ones that you failed or you lost. Why? Because it's a learning experience. That's what basically, it's not ego or anything like that. I think a player and a coach, you look back and what could I have done better? And it's the failures that I always say you get 24 hours to live with that failure. And then after that, let's go. But within that 24 hours, look carefully, do some soul searching on, okay, what could be better? I think if you talk to anybody in any career, that's an important part of their career, an important part of their life, that you go, okay, where do I need to get better? And the disappointments really help to have that happen. It's a wonderful part of learning experience.
Switching gears a little bit, when I look at St. Ignatius over the years, it's transformed. The campus has transformed incredibly in terms of the scope of the athletic facilities. Now, I realize, just as you guys do, it doesn't matter if you're practicing in a parking lot. You can still win. You can still, be a champion. You can still work hard and get things done. But through the generosity of our alumni and many, many donors, we have really taken some leaps and bounds through gifts from the Pantek family and from the Carfagna family. So just to talk a little bit about the facilities, I know facilities are tools that you all use to help our kids and help our programs grow and get the most out of the student athletes. But why don't we talk a little bit about the facilities and what we have at our fingertips that help our student athletes reach their highest goals?
Your program has a chance to become special when you have the right coaches, when you have the right players, and when you have the right facilities. And our facilities are now second to none. And I think that the things that we're able to provide for our students, and because we've got over, I think, 1,000 students, the majority of our students are involved in some sort of sports here at school. And so the fields that we have, the field house, the indoor spaces, it's really incredible. And it's something that takes our programs to another level. And so, yeah, I'm so grateful to all the donors that have stepped up to help the programs, because it's a game changer for sure.
I think all of us would play in a parking lot. I saw Dan laughing, and I think rugby probably more than anybody has seen the parking lot in the past, but now they don't have to, because there's a commitment from the school. The school never cuts any corners, and it might take them longer than every coach would hope to get something done, but in the end, they don't cut any corners. Everything is done top notch. I would practice baseball in a shoebox if we had to, but you know what? We don't have to. We have a beautiful indoor facility. I mean, come on. If you toured Ignatius and you've come down here, I mean, from a baseball standpoint, it doesn't get any nicer than what we have in the Modges Center. And thank God for the Carfania family for doing that for us. But, in the end, Mike's right. It's about the players. In my mind, that's the players first. It's got to be the guys that are willing to put in the work. We can give them the resources, and we've done that. But are you willing to put in the work, within that space and use it to its maximum? But the facilities are pretty dang nice, I have to say.
Let me just jump back in. It says something when professional football teams, when they come to Cleveland, want to come and use our facilities. And when colleges come into town as passing through, they call to use our facilities. When the NCAA tournament is going on in basketball, colleges are coming to play on our court. And so that's incredible.
People care about our student athletes, and they care a lot about their well-being, and they want to give them the best resources to be successful on and off the field, or on and off the court. And it's tremendous to be at a place like this and be able to coach athletes and be appreciative of what we have, because like you said, we will all practice wherever we could practice at, but we have not only, one field, we have multiple fields. And not only one gym, we have multiple gyms. I mean, we have a unbelievable weight room downstairs that serves hundreds and hundreds of athletes that come through the school with 2 full-time strength coaches. I mean, we have a lot of different resources to put kids in the best situations possible. But like Coach Kyle talked about, they have to be committed. But the community, the outreach, it talks about going here to school, and the people that you're going to run into, the people that you're going to walk the halls, the people that you're going to make friends with. The people care about St. Ignatius, and as coaches, we're just thankful for it.
What would you want to share with them about why they should come to St. Ignatius High School and why they should really give it a serious thought?
I think you have to understand that you're going to be loved. I mean, that's the most important thing. And if it was my children and I was sending them somewhere, that's all that would matter to me. At the end of the day, they're going to be loved, no matter what their talents are, and no matter how far their talents can take them. And if you can see, that and understand the impact that will have on your life, then this is the right place for you. And for me, that's what it comes down to. You're going to be loved, and that's all that matters.
We have maybe more than most high schools in Ohio with young men that are in the NFL. We have a number of kids playing in major college football, but genetics have something to do with that, okay? It really does. But what else do we have? We have guys that have gone on to be CEOs of companies because they learned how to, even though they were second or third team, they learned how to be a great teammate. And they took those lessons and went on and ran a company because they knew that if you're a leader, you serve. You learn how to serve the people in your company. They learn that, and they learn that here. And they're going on to be a number of people here that are teachers that in this time period we're dealing with, making a lot of sacrifice. Why? Because we are people that serve. And that's what this school teaches. And that's what this school, when guys graduate, they remember that. They go on and do things for other people and find the wonderful gift that is. That you can be, yeah, NFL, you can be whatever, CEOs of companies. But when you graduate from here, you learn to be a man of service. And that goes a long, long way.
I always enjoy the conversation I have every year with parents of 7th and 8th graders, and they come to sporting events and they look at the size difference of our students compared to their 7th or 8th grade child. And they're overwhelmed and they think, there's no chance my son is ever going to be that big, or my son's going to get to that level. And I say to them, allow us to get your son to that level. Trust us. Allow your son to come here. This is an incredible environment, and that's our job. And that's what all of us have been doing for decades, is to take young men and to turn them, or young boys, and to turn them into young men. And we're going to win a lot along the way. We're going to win a ton. But more than anything, we're going to help your son to discover his God-given talents and how to use those talents to make the world a better place and to make life easier for the people around. And that's what the school is all about. And I love the sports. The sports that we have at the school are really incredible and life-changing, and we've won so many national championships. But more than anything, as Coach Ganor has said, kids come here and they learn their value as a human being, and they learn that they are loved by their coaches and by their teammates and by their teachers. And it's the most incredible place for a young man to be.
I'll just add something a little bit different. I 100% agree with what has been said. You're going to have so much fun here. This is such a fun place to go to school. This is such a fun place to make friends, to be in the classroom, to just be hanging out during your free period. This is a great place to enjoy high school. Every bit of it: athletics, academics, service, retreats, music, fine arts, whatever you're involved with, you are going to have the time of your life. I can say that from experience. And I think, you talk to most alumni and they would agree with me.
I think the school, coming to school here, you get, just like Coach Connor talked about, an experience outside of school, outside of the classroom. You get the community, you get the diversity, you get coaches we teach life skills. We're not just coaching on the field. We're not just coaching for wins and losses. We're teaching life skills that these young boys can take when they go into college and they become young men, and that can take when they become a husband, when they become a father, a grandfather. They're going to be challenged, but we're going to care for them. And it's about the relationships. We have real relationships, real dialogue with the students, and we want the best for them. We're going to help them get there. Not just the coaches, but the teachers, the counselors. People care about every student that walks through these hallways. And we want each student to not, when they leave here, to want to give back. And I think that goes into so much of our alumni outreach, because they appreciate the experience that they had here at St. Ignatius.
I think everybody touched on the sort of things that I would say. I always remember my mom saying, I didn't find this out until I was like a senior in high school. And I remember her saying, I didn't pay for you to go to Ignatius for your education. I paid for your friends. And really, I think what she's saying there is that you could get a good education at a lot of different schools. It's true, but the people that you're around, and everybody touching about the coaches and the people that you're with, that's really what makes St. Ignatius, our alumni, so proud to have gone to a school here. We've talked a lot about the different experiences that the kids have together. And you ask anybody who graduated from St. Ignatius, did you have a good experience? And I would bet that you're going to get an affirmative answer right there.
That's a great way to wrap it up, Coach Arbesnik. I would just say in closing to anybody that's thinking about St. Ignatius High School, you're looking at it, we can't wait for you to be a Wildcat. We can't wait for you to be a part of our family. And we look forward to meeting you, and we wish you the best of luck the rest of this year.